Hello everyone, I am your IELTS tutor Jack and welcome to the IELTS Plus podcast. Remember, I have a wonderful free handout, free materials for every episode of this podcast, so please make the most of that. You can download the free materials on my website, www.jacks-english.com. That's jacks-english.com. Or for my Korean students, you can go to my Naver Cafe. If you search Yongguk Yongeo, Jack's English, you'll be able to join me there and get access to all of my free content. So, with that out of the way, let's start today's episode. Today's topic is animals, which is a good one for me. I really like animals, so I'm feeling quite confident that I can answer these questions well. Remember, in this podcast, I am going to take some real IELTS questions. These are questions that have come up before, and I'm going to answer them on the spot. No help, I have no script. For those watching the video, you can see I have nothing. I do have the computer in front of me, but you'll have to trust me. I don't have a script. And I also have 10 vocabulary for each episode, which I will try to get into my answers. And all of this is on the free handout that you can access at my website or Naver Cafe. So I think we'll start, and I'm going to answer some part 1 questions first. The first question is as follows. Have you ever had a pet before? Yes, I've had many pets before. I've had dogs, rabbits, hamsters, a bird. My most memorable pet would probably be my bird. My bird was called Sunny, and she lived with me for several years in my house in Korea. And she'd fly around the house, and she kind of spoke. She said a few words and made a lot of noise. Unfortunately, one year she actually became very sick and passed away. That was a few years ago, but I had a lot of fun with her over the 4 or 5 years that I raised her. Okay, another question from part 1. What kinds of animals do people in your country have as a pet? Well, I'm from England, and I think English people are big dog lovers. We often raise dogs, 1, 2, 3. I see families with several dogs sometimes, and I think because we have so many parks in England, it's a really good opportunity to be able to walk the dog and play and let the dog get plenty of exercise. So that's the most common pet in England. Now I'm going to try a part 2 question. I'll get my phone out so I can keep track of this. In my academy, I have my part 2 structure. Now, I'm not going to teach that to you on this podcast, but it's something you'll find on my IELTS Plus YouTube channel. But I'm going to roughly follow my structure and answer a part 2 question. So I've just got my 2 minutes here. Let's see how I do. As I said, this is totally made up on the spot. So the question is as follows. Talk about a pet that you or someone you know once had. Now, before I answer, it's very wise to use answers that you're very familiar with. So I'm going to choose the same one as I did before, which is the bird. Okay. 2 minutes starts now. I'd like to tell you about my pet Sunny. Sunny was a bird. I say was because unfortunately she passed away. I bought her about 5 years ago when I was living in Korea. I guess I was quite lonely, so I wanted to have a pet to keep me company in my house. My house was quite small, so it was difficult to raise a dog or a cat. I think that would have been unfair to the animal. So I decided to get a bird because I could let the bird fly around my room or my house, but it was kind of a low maintenance choice. And in the end, it was a very good choice. She stayed with me for 5 years and we had a wonderful time. Unfortunately, as I said, after 5 years, she became sick. We don't know why. It was something that just can happen. And unfortunately, she passed away. So that was perhaps 2 or 3 years ago she passed away. Let me tell you a little more about Sunny. She was a small parakeet. It's just a type of parrot. And she was yellow with orange cheeks. She was loud and she had quite a unique character. She was full of energy, full of life, and she really loved flying. So whenever I came home, I opened my cage or her cage and she flew around my house and caused a lot of trouble, but she was a real pleasure to raise. I loved her very much. She gave me a lot of joy, and also to my friends as well. They all really enjoyed seeing her. In the future, I really hope to have another parrot, actually. I'm not sure what species, but I'd like to have another parrot and raise her in the same way. There you go. 2 minutes. Bang on. So, just in case you're curious, in part 2, I do have a structure. It starts with the past tense. I tell you, no matter what the question is, I start with the past tense. Then I move on to the present tense. I describe that thing more deeply. And then in the end, I finish with a kind of conclusion talking about the future tense. So that's my answer. Let's just do one more part 3 and then we'll wrap up today's episode. The question I think I'll answer for part 3, we'll go with the following one. Are there endangered animals in your country? Now, I'll answer this about Korea because I live here now. There are many animals in the wild in our country. Herbivores, omnivores, carnivores, all different types. But there are some endangered animals, even critically endangered animals. So the first one that comes to my mind is the Korean bear. I'm not sure the exact name of the species, but this bear lives in the mountains and there are very few left. Of course, as is the case with many animals, they've been hunted to the brink of extinction. Apart from that, we used to have tigers. I don't think we have tigers anymore, so we can say that they are extinct. Other endangered animals, I'm not sure, but I think there are other types of cats, wild cats that are endangered or critically endangered, and those can still be found in the mountains of Korea. Okay, that's my final answer. I hope you liked today's podcast. It was the first episode, and each episode will be a different topic. Today was animals, and I managed to get through just 4 questions, but I'll always try to get through 4 or 5 each episode. As I said before, there is a free handout. You can find it on jacksenglish.com, jacks-english.com, or my cafe, my Naver cafe in Korea. If you search Yongguk Yongo, Jack's English. Thank you for listening and see you very soon. Bye-bye.